Hello and welcome to the Vale This Week from Bro Radio. Coming up tonight, we head to Barry Island to find out about some new businesses opening and calling the island their home. Poppy will find out more about a music festival that's taking place in person in Penarth, but online to increase access to live music for those living with long-term illnesses. We'll hear about a project by the Rotary Club of Barry District to make sure all young people in the area have access to books. And we'll take a look at the latest sports and events in and around the Vale of Glamorgan over the next 7 days. But first, it's half-term week, and whilst the weather might not be the best to visit Barry Island, a number of businesses are preparing for their first season at the resort. 5 businesses are opening or changing hands, with Barry Island Fish Shop opening back in November, Scoop announcing something new will open in their unit soon, whilst Fabulous are the new tenants for the former Bay 5 unit. Long-standing fish and chip shop Boofy's closed back in January, with work taking place on a new play centre above High for Value, with those being just some of the many changes at the resort this year. Louis Ross runs Barry Bados, which this year will celebrate 10 years on Barry Island. He also says that this year will see the biggest changes of Barry Island businesses in a long time.
You know, I think changes are kind of few and far between, because people tend to stay kind of for long periods of time. Obviously, there was the period when we had the brands coming in, like Casper's and Greg's, and there's not been that much change on the front of the promenade. There was Zeo's, this obviously changed, but apart from that, there's not really been that many changes, and that's why this year there's quite a few changes in a short space of time. So, it's positive. It depends what's what's going to go in there, and there's going to be a lot of changes from established businesses, which I think people had their favourites, and now they're not going to be there anymore. So it's just going to be an element of getting used to kind of the new businesses, of what are going in and what they're going to sell. If the units are full and there's people trading, and they got jobs, it's going to bring people down, as long as it's the right business. I think we're still riding on the Gavin and Stacey buzz, if I'm totally honest with you. I think we'll get another year. The tours are full every week. There's people coming from Australia and New Zealand all the time. So it's not going to hinder Barry Island, all these new businesses coming here. As long as the units are full and they're trading and it's what Barry Island needs, then it's going to bring people down. Barry Island, it's like its own brand, I would say. It's going to bring people down. There's always going to be people coming down to the beach every summer, and people are going to want to invest in it because we do get the footfall in the summer. It's the winters, they're not perfect. They are better than what they were 10 years ago, especially since I've been down here in 10 years. It's only gotten better.
One of the recent openings is Barry Island Fish and Chip Company, located next to Finnegan's Inn. Laura Davenport opened the business with her partner back in November.
So we're trying to bring some of the things that we have as our foundations in our store over in Cardiff. So we're really proud to be a chippy that makes things fresh every day. We use sustainable fish. We make our sauces homemade every day, so nothing's coming from powders here. And we're just trying to bring something a bit different over to Barry Island. We live up the road, so we wanted to have somewhere that was close to us. We love Barry. I had another little cafe down on the front as well. But yeah, we love Barry Island, so we want to bring something close to where we live that we think people will love. I think it's a very unique place. I think that there's lots of kind of tourists come in through the summer, which people talk about, but there's a great sense of community in Barry. So I used to live in Cardiff, and we much prefer living over in Barry. The people are great. Barry Island's great. It's always a good story. My mum and dad moved over too. They love it too, so I've moved the whole family here because there's a real sense of friendship and people helping out people here.
James Osborne runs Coastal Coffee, Fun Harbour and Harbour Snooker Centre. His family have run businesses on the island for over 30 years, and he's seen the resort change multiple times over.
The holiday camp going was a bit before my time. I think probably when we opened here, it was the last year of it, then it went. But yeah, the major change has been, seeing things open out of season, which is probably one of the biggest changes. Whereas you come here 15, 20 years ago, you'd find shuttered up shops, things ad hoc opening. Now we've seen over the last maybe 15, 20 years, stuff's open through the winter for locals, for day trippers. It's not just the weekends, out of season, everything is pretty much open. And yeah, I'd say going forward to today, we've had the final of Gavin and Stacey has put us back on the map after about another, for a space of 5 years away. So that was a nice boost last year. This year, going into the main season now, I'm not so sure, not so sure, how can we say, not so sure the Gavin Stacey effect is going to be as big as it was last season, but that's still going to be here. And obviously, as we've discussed and has been noted over the last few months, there's a few new businesses opening down on the island or change of ownerships, etc. So yeah, we'll see how it goes for this year, and yeah, hopefully it'll be a positive season.
One business working hard to open is Little Legends Play Centre. Sarah Wells took over the former Adventure Island space and hopes to turn it into a space for children of all ages, as well as a space for parents to connect.
I had my eye on it actually for a while. When I found out a lady had taken it over, I remember thinking, oh, I would have loved that place. Obviously I own another gym in Barry called Cardio Core, and that's like mainly for women. So created an amazing community there. Seen this place when I brought my daughter down here, and it was dead. So I spoke to the owner, I said, what's your plans with it? What are you doing with it? And she just had enough, so she wanted out. So I put an offer in, and 2 months later, here we are.
In recent weeks, Sarah and the team of volunteers made up of members of her gym, Cardio Core Fitness, and other local businesses have been transforming the space, ready to reopen in the coming weeks.
So when I used to come here when my kids were little, so I've got a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old. When they were babies, it used to freak me out because the ones would be right down the bottom end and then my baby would be at the front end. So as soon as I come in, I was like, right, we need an under 5s frame closer to the babies area. There was a few things in the babies area which I didn't think were for babies, so we got rid of them, made it more safe for the under 2s. Then we had the under 5s frame. We put a sensory area in because the house was a little bit unsafe and it used to freak me out when the kids used to go up the stairs because of how low the ceilings was. So we've changed that into a sensory room. And then we're also putting in a teen room. So what I wanted, because I've got 4 different kids, different ages, I wanted to have a space that all of them could be in here. So it would cater for older kids as well as younger kids. So we're working with Clubiau Plant Cymru, and they will be helping us get all our policies and procedures in place and training up some of our members of staff to be childcare workers. So we'll be offering after school clubs, we'll be offering school holiday clubs, and we'll be also doing things like date nights where you can drop your kid off, go and have a date night, they can have fun here, and then you can pick them up later. Our Well Women CIC has been running for a few months now. We run an 8-week trauma-informed course for ladies that have been through like mental health, divorce, grief, and we're going to be hosting the 8-week course, which is completely free because they're funded through the National Lottery here. We'll be doing things like sound healing, breath work. We've got the location obviously with the view, and then the space obviously upstairs, which will be exclusive then for our ladies.
And with more changes set to come to Barry Island, traders are now hoping for a busy summer on Barry Island.
Yeah, I think that people can see that the general public is changing how they act and how they want to spend their money, and they want to do stuff differently. So, you know, I always say the sea's not going to move. Everybody loves coming to the seaside, but people want to do different things now. They want to have an experience. They want to have more of an event when they come into the sea, and they want to have a full day out. So they're spending money differently. They want to do different things, and they want to get better value for money. So yeah, I think that there's a few new businesses that we're really excited to work with that are coming over that are bringing a bit of a change to Barry Island.
I think, you know, in all honesty, it's the community of locals, regulars, and to be honest with you, you know, you sort of, like everything, we're very weather dependent down here. So, you know, it could be raining, it could be sleeting, could be snowing. We'll be open, you know. And I think it's one of those things of knowing, yeah, they'll always be there, always be open, and that's pretty much one of the things that keeps you going. And I think if someone knows, yeah, they'll be open today, they'll come along. If they think, oh, it might not be, they won't bother. So really, I say, you know, giving good value keeps bringing people back. Slight little bits of change here and there. But yeah, really offering the same values from day one.
Now on the Vale this week, let's take a look at some of the past week's top news stories here in the Vale with Poppy Jones.
The controlled demolition of the turbine hall at the former Aberthorpe power station took place on Saturday morning. Demolition contractor Erith Contractors, working alongside explosive engineer specialists Precision Demolition Company, undertook the controlled demolition at around 9 AM on Saturday. Demolition works began on the site back in 2024, with CCR Energy saying that the demolition marks an important step in preparing the site for long-term regeneration. A candidate listed on the ballot paper for a Penarth by-election as a Welsh Conservative has defected to Reform UK. The news that 2 senior aides to the leader of the Conservatives in the Welsh Parliament had defected to Reform UK last Thursday, 2 days before the Tories party conference in Llandudno. One of those to defect is Welsh Conservative leader Darren Miller's Deputy Chief of Staff, Zach Weaver, who, along with the Senior Communications Officer Thomas Lleswyl, quit to work for the MSs representing Reform UK. Zac Weaver is on the ballot paper for this Thursday 19th by-election in the Plymouth ward of Penarth Town Council. The full list of candidates standing are available via broradio.fm/news. A Vale of Glamorgan councillor has blasted school funding in the county as a catastrophic failure to adequately fund our schools. Councillor Christopher Franks, a Plaid Cymru member, continued, "Schools need adequate funds to deliver the curriculum." He also took aim at the highways budget, which he called clearly totally inadequate. It comes as councillors met to scrutinise the initial budget plan for the county before it goes for full approval. The site of a former power station in Barry will be repurposed as a renewable energy store after the council greenlighted the plans. The plans are for the construction and operation of a 50 megawatt long-duration energy storage facility at the site of the former Barry power station. The old power station was operational until 2019, but has since been decommissioned and largely demolished. The construction period is anticipated to start in 2030 and for a duration of 2 years. And the Vale Food Trail will return this May as a 2-week celebration of food that is good for people, place and planet. Running from the 24th of May to 7th of June, the trail builds on the successes of recent years' events, which have seen an estimated 1,000 visitors during the 2024 and 2025 festivals. The 2-week celebration of local food, farming, sustainability and community spirit will begin with the Cowbridge Food Festival in May and close on Open Farm Sunday.
You're listening to The Vale this week from Bro Radio. Now, have you ever thought about how difficult it could be to attend an event or music festival whilst living with an illness? One festival this week is working to resolve that. Poppy Jones has more.
Lleswyl 2026 will take place on the 20th of February at 7 p.m. in Paget Rooms in Penarth, a festival event seeking to include some of the 1.2 million people in Wales living with illness. The event, which marks 5 years of Daring to Dream charity's impact, is also hybrid, welcoming viewers from across Wales and the wider community on YouTube. Daring to Dream's founder Barbara joined us today. For the listeners who are unfamiliar with Lleswyl, can you tell us a little bit about the event?
Lleswyl is our annual Wellbeing Festival. And when I say our, I mean the charity Daring to Dream, the emotional health charity. We started it about 5 years ago. And what we've recognised is so many people across Wales living with illness can never get to live gigs because of illness and because of health vulnerability. And then, of course, gigs cost so much, don't they? And also for us, it's a really good way of trying to make more and more visible what we do as a charity and actually help bring it to the awareness of the wider public.
So I can see from the lineup this year includes artists such as Lleswyl with Synovia Cymru, Press Llaregydd, Rusty Shackle and many more. Are there any particular acts that you're excited to see or would you recommend to look out for?
This is our 5th proper Lleswyl, and every year we've recorded a number of different bands. So what we're doing is reprising really just some of all the bands and artists that we've recorded. And that's why we've got such an impressive lineup. And for the first time ever, we have 2 lots of live musicians. Who might be my favourites? I have to say I love Lleswyl. And the track that we've selected this year is one that Cassie composed, and it's absolutely beautiful. And she's accompanied by a number of musicians from Sinfonia Cymru. But then I also like Rusty Shackle, and we're playing Coming Home, and I love Afrocluster. And my opening favourite is going to be Doctor and the Medics and Spirit in the Sky. It's hugely eclectic music, really diverse. Because the people who tune in, not just tonight, but over the coming year on demand, we're all age groups. Those of us in Wales, 1.2 million of us, Poppy, 1.2 million people living with at least one illness. We cover all age groups. So having the diverse music, having folk, having rock, having soloists, having something as fascinating as Sinfonia Cymru with young musicians who've arranged rock tracks for us before in some years. We've just been able to do stuff differently. And I mean, last year we had our Log. I think they're probably the most iconic folk group in Wales. And in our opening Lleswyl, we had Callan, an equally iconic folk group in Wales, but hugely different. And another really, really good folk supporter who's been in 2 Lleswyl festivals now is Gareth Bonello, the Gentle Good. there's been rock, there's been glam rock, there's been indie rock, there has been orchestral stuff, there's been soloists, there has been folk, there has been jazz with band president Cleric, which of course comes from Dylan Thomas. And you got it, yeah.
I did look
And
it up.
they're from North Wales, and they kind of bring the sounds of New Orleans. The year that they did tracks for us, they had Edie Crawford as their lead singer, and Edie is amazing. So, I'll tell you who we also had last year, who's fascinating, absolutely brilliant, is Adjoa. So Adjoa is still a youngish artist from Cardiff, really emerging and coming through. Cardiff and Ghanaian background, and really, really talented. So with Lleswyl, what it is, it's a combination of a track. So this time we'll play a track and then we'll have about 5 minutes conversation, bringing in people who are living with illness or are carers or are clinicians. And everything's hosted by Sean Lloyd, Jason Harrell, Toomey Williams, a really good team. They've worked together since the first one. So they bring the conversations to light. You know, when somebody says, well, what's Lleswyl look like? And I go, well, look, think one show, meeting children in need, meeting Graham Norton. It lasts just over 3 hours. So it's a full-scale production. And we will go live this Friday, the 20th of February. Still got a few places left for the studio audience in the Paget Rooms in Penarth. If anybody wants to come and join us, just go to Eventbrite and look for Lleswyl 2026 and book on. And Lleswyl is spelt Leswyl, and it stands for Wellbeing Festival. And our YouTube channel from which we stream is Lleswyl 2026.
I understand this year it's the 5th year of the Lleswyl running, but it's the first hybrid year. Is that correct?
Yes.
The YouTube option is going to be free of charge for those.
Yes, it's always totally free of charge for YouTube. And as I said, it's not just being streamed live tonight; it's on demand. And what we found is over the year, from one festival to the next, we keep promoting it. A huge amount of people keep dipping in and out and logging onto it. And we're also uploading all of the tracks that we've got very steadily now onto YouTube. We want to encourage people to use our tracks. They're absolutely fantastic recordings, all done in the studio by Ratio Studios, absolute quality, and an amazing resource, either for somebody at home on their own, or maybe for an activities coordinator on a ward doing a musical afternoon with some patients, or for that matter, in a care home.
I won't keep you too long because I understand you're super busy. So one of the things I was looking at the website is, of course, the music is mixed in with, as you said, important conversations between guests, including families and patients, discussions about the importance of emotional health and living life to the fullest, whilst potentially living with life-limiting conditions. Are there any takeaways or words of wisdom you've had from conversations whilst working with the charity?
Lord, what has become really clear, when we're ill, all of us respond emotionally as well as physically. And we do have, from our NHS colleagues, really, really good clinical care. And obviously, that is what our body needs. But frequently, what we collectively tend to overlook is the emotional upheaval of either having an acute medical crisis or having to live long term with pretty impactful and maybe even life-shortening conditions. So that is the gap that Daring to Dream as a charity is fulfilling, encouraging people to talk about the feelings that arise, that they have to grapple with. And it's like a roller coaster. And it's really important to talk about the feelings so that then you're able to go, right, I now know, okay, I can get on with what I have to do. I can work out what really matters to me, and I can enjoy my life better. And Also, there is a significant amount of evidence that indicates that the more we talk about our feelings arising from illness, it will help us prevent adding a mental illness in addition to the physical one. So, if it helps us live a better life and it helps prevent the addition of a mental illness, then actually emotional health, frequently overlooked, is incredibly important. And then what the charity does, we just do 3 very clear things. A, raise awareness on emotional health and the need to talk about emotions arising from illness. Secondly, making our spaces to talk in ward areas in hospitals. And thirdly, creating spaces to sing, particularly in ward areas where we have done or are doing room makeovers to create the spaces to talk, and also very much for long-term patients, I think. And we have an interesting final thing is how we will end Lleswyl 2026. Our charity single, written by our musicians, who are all undergraduate musicians at Bridgend College, is being released at the beginning of March, and we are going to highlight it. It is an amazing track. It's beautiful, it's powerful, and Lilia, who is a third-year undergraduate musician, she has composed it, and with a couple of her fellow students, Fionn and Lily, they have used the amazing studios at Bridgend College. It is what the college have done. Obviously, Lilia as the composer gets acknowledged, but they have signed it over to Daring to Dream. So it becomes our charity single and will spell out many of our key messages in an amazing, beautiful way.
And Lleswyl takes place this Friday, the 17th of February. You can find out more at daringtodream.wales. Now let's move on to sport, and with all the latest from around the Vale of Glamorgan, here's Jamie Pritchard.
Thanks, Nathan. And let's start with rugby then, where Wales saw their lowest crowd ever amid the ongoing rugby turmoil. On the field, their first home game at the Principality Stadium of this Six Nations campaign saw them lose 54-12 to France on Sunday. Whilst the men's team are facing troubles, it was more of a spirited game for the under-20s, with the score ending Wales 24, France 34, something that Mark Rees, Vice-Chair of Llantywydd Major RFC, says is a positive.
I'm not too despondent. I mean, watching the youth game at the club on Saturday, you were watching players there play with a sort of, I've used the word courage and passion, and it is there. I think people sometimes sort of get hung up on saying the pathway is broken and opportunities are there, but every time I've gone to watch the youth play this year, it's played very much in a similar fashion to how France have adopted it at international level, in that they try things, and they try and play that game, as sort of in its purest form,
The under-20s next play on Friday evening at 7:15 against Scotland, with the senior team welcoming Gregor Townsend's side to the Principality Stadium on Saturday, with that game kicking off at 20-5. Looking to the summer then, and Wales rugby men's side are set to face Fiji at the Cardiff City Stadium when they kick off the inaugural Nations Championship in July. Staying at the Cardiff City Stadium, where Cardiff City have maintained their 4-point lead at the top of the League One table after a 4-1 win on Tuesday against AFC Wimbledon. On top form, Cardiff are 4 points ahead of promotion rivals Lincoln City. In the Welsh Leagues, Barrytown United travelled to Caernarfon Town in the JD Cymru Premier on Saturday. Goals from Ben Williams-Margetson and Ollie Hulbert secured the away-from-home win, seeing them sit 5th in the Championship table. Meanwhile, Llantywydd Major beat Cwmbran Celtic 3-1 in the JD Cymru South, seeing them stay 9th in the table. Llantywydd next face Newport City on Friday night with kick-off at 7:30, whilst Barry welcome Connors Quay to Jenner Park on Saturday before their Welsh League Cup final game against the New Saints at Penabont a week later on the 28th of February. In local rugby, Dinas Powys faced a tough test against top-of-the-table Llantrisant in the Admiral Nation League Division 3 East Central, with a final score of Dinas Powys 7, Llantrisant 38, whilst Barry RFC fell short as they welcomed St Albans, who secured a league double against a vastly improved Barry side, which ended Barry 14, St Albans 17. Despite the loss, one of Barry's current youth players, Isaac Thomas, scored his first senior try for the Bombers in that game. Meanwhile, Penarth RFC lost out to league leaders Llanharan in the National League 1 East Central with a score of 29-15. And finally, Barry Amateur Swimming Club has launched its centenary year after holding its 100th annual general meeting in January. The club has recognised some of its long-serving volunteers during the meeting, setting out plans for a gala celebration evening which will take place at Barry's Memorial Hall on the 18th of April. As always, there's more on Monday Night Sport each Monday with Mike here at 7 o'clock, or you can get the latest on our website at broradio.fm.
You're listening to The Vale this week from Bro Radio. Now, a new stat says 1 in 8 children under 18 don't own a book. And that's something the Rotary Club of Barry District are hoping to resolve with a new project called Books for Home. Malcolm is from the Rotary Club of Barry District, who's leading on the project and joins me now. Thank you for coming in, Malcolm.
Good morning.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, first of all, tell us a little bit about the work of the Rotary Club of Barry District.
Rotary itself was started 121 years ago in America by a guy by the name of Paul Harris, a solicitor who wanted a business networking club. So there was 5 people, they met, and it became the name of Rotary because they used to rotate around each other's houses for their meetings. Rotary since then has grown into an organisation of 1.2 million members across 200 plus countries and regions throughout the world, with something like 35,000 different clubs. Barry District are a small part of that. We are 20 members. We are based, as you gather, in Barry, but we've now expanded our reach to cover Sully and Penarth, because areas that haven't got a Rotary club. And our aim is to help people in need, and our real thing is service above self.
Amazing. And you've got a wide range of projects that the Rotary Club does, but we're talking about this specific one, which is Books for Home, which is aiming to help children get their first book. So tell us about this project and how it came about.
It came about when we had a request from one of the local schools, could we assist their reading project in school? Which a couple of our members have volunteered to do, and go in once a week to Calyxton Primary School, where they help Year 3, Year 4s read. It was at that point that I recently moved to the area in 2019 from the Midlands, and this is a project that is big in the Midlands through Rotary District 1210, and they've now delivered over 350,000 books to children. And when listening to our members who started this reading project in the school, they were saying some of these children haven't got their own book. And it just hit a little light in the brain and saying, hang on, there's a project up in the Midlands that we could look at. This is too far for us to go and keep changing books up there on a weekly basis. So why don't we start our own?
And you've started your own, but that statistic we mentioned at the start, 1 in 8 children under 18 not having a book, it's actually quite a sad statistic to hear. Is it something that might surprise a lot of people?
It surprised me when I looked a bit further, because those statistics don't come from the Rotary Club. They come from the national readers, whatever they are. You can go on their website and get the figures. And to work out 1 in 8 children haven't got a book, 12.5% of children. Over 1 million children in the UK with no book.
It's a huge figure. So tell us about the project and what you're aiming to do through this project in long term, first of all.
Long term, it's to, especially in this area, to cut that figure of 1 in 8. Be nice to have a 0 in 8 haven't got a book. Sorry, I got that round the wrong way. That 8 out of 8 have got a book. Because to me, I go back to my childhood. I had a shelf full of books, all different shapes and sizes, all different things. And without a book, how do young people learn? I remember going to a school up in the Midlands we visited, and there was one school that had 27 different languages being spoken, which, as we know now, that's going to happen, and more of those things are going to happen. And one young child turned around and said to us, well, I've got my book and I can teach my mum and dad to read. So this isn't just a thing that's happened in recent years, it's got worse over the years. So it helps, and that's part of Rotary's work, service above self.
And we talked about the book side of things and trying to gather those books and get those books out in the long term. But in terms of the short term, you're looking for a space to help start this project off properly, aren't you?
We need somewhere where we can, that's clean, that's dry, that we can get these books together. Because when we've got the first book out to a child, what we want to be able to do is to make sure they can have their second and third and fourth book. And yes, when they finish the book, why not bring it back to us and let somebody else have it? So we've got somewhere to store, and we can make a library of these books so they're there available at all times for people. My aim and my biggest dream is to be able to make sure that every single school has a library by us supplying the books if need be. Because as we all know, money's getting tighter and things are being cut within organisations, and there's lots of books that are not getting used anymore. Why can't we recycle them? It's good for the book, it's good for the people. So that is the aim.
And tell us about the type of space you're looking for. Is there a kind of location, a type of thing you need in that space? What's kind of the requirements, I guess?
The basic need is it's clean and dry. Where it's based, I'm not too worried. I've got a car. The wife's got a car. The members have got cars. But if we've got somewhere central in Barry, that'd be even more ideal, because it makes it easy for everybody then to get to and from. And we're not saying that everybody's got to come to there to get the books. We're quite happy to take a number out to a school if it need be. And it's anywhere that's clean and dry. If it's got shelving, even better, but I'm sure we can fund that ourselves in some way.
So if someone listening to this maybe has a space or long-term wants to get involved in the project, how can people find out more and get involved?
By contacting me. They can ring me, they can email me. It's on our poster that we're advertising. If I can give it to you and you can put it out with that, not a problem. My email address is rotaryhome1150@gmail.com. Email me. Happy to come and meet anybody anywhere within reason, and then we can take it from there.
Brilliant. And we'll share those details on the Bro Radio socials as well. It sounds like a great project. Hopefully we'll keep an eye on it as well as it grows, and hopefully you find a space. But Malcolm, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us about it.
Okay, lovely. Thanks for having us.
So another weekend fast approaching with what's going on in and around the Vale of Glamorgan. Here's Gareth Richards.
Dinosaur Explorers with Luby Lou Storytelling is on at Penarth Pier Pavilion tomorrow morning from 11 a.m. until 11:45. Perfect for young explorers and their families, Dinosaur Explorers blends playful storytelling, movement and audience participation to bring the world of dinosaurs vividly to life. Tickets are £5 for adults and £7 for children. Clantwick Major Town Council is hosting a musical bingo night on Friday from 7 p.m. onwards. Taking place at Clantonian Hall, it's £5 per ticket, with a bar on the night and lots of additional games and prizes to be won. All proceeds from the night will go to St Catherine's Hospice and Velindre Cancer Centre. You can buy tickets at the Town Hall in Clantwick Major, or you can call 0782 777 9566. After its sold-out event last year, Curtin Up & Co are back with the Golden Age of Musicals at the Dinas Parish Hall. You can expect soaring ballads and comedic character numbers. It's taking place on Friday and tickets are £10 and available at ticketsource.co.uk/Curtin Up Theatre. The Penarth Community Network is hosting a community showcase fair at Penarth Pier on Saturday. It's a chance to meet local community groups and organisations, finding out who they are, what they do and how you can get involved. The event runs from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. and entry is free for all. You can search Penarth Community Network for more information. There are some tri-archery taster sessions taking place at Fonmont Castle this Saturday and Sunday from midday until 1. It costs £17.50 and these coached archery taster sessions are an introductory experience where you'll get to learn the basics of archery. They're suitable for complete beginners and adults of all ages can attend. And finally, you can head to Porthcurry for a Wild About Woods Day this Saturday, running from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. The event is a chance to discover an adventure in the heart of the park with guided walks, hands-on activities and family-friendly fun. You can learn about local wildlife, woodland crafts and the work to protect and restore vital habitats. Tickets are free and available by searching for Porthcurry Wild About Woods on Eventbrite.
And that was The Vale this week from Bro Radio. Next week we'll hear about a maritime initiative dedicated to restoring the tall ship Lord Nelson and about a 40-mile race set to take place at Barry's Jenner Park. As always, if you've got a story you want to share with us, we'd love to hear from you. Email news@broradio.fm, or you can find us on social media. Thanks for listening, and join us again next Wednesday at 7 on Bro Radio, or you can find us wherever you get your podcasts.